Question. Are you in credit card debt? Let's talk about it. Back in a minute. Hi, this is Jan. I'm from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. I'd like to help you keep your money, but I could promise you this: being in credit card debt is definitely not the way to keep money. So let's talk about the 5 keys to good debt management. I said good debt. I didn't mean good at all. Debt management. There you go. All right. Number one, this sounds pretty like basic, but avoid ever getting into debt in the first place. Let's listen to this. Keep in mind that we literally can save thousands of dollars each month and year by not paying interest to banks. Living in debt and paying high interest back to banks stops people from ever getting ahead of the game financially. Let's think about this. When you say that it's much harder to even think of saving when you're in credit card debt, for example, I always refer to it as the elephant in the room. And it's our job to get rid of that elephant because emotionally, mentally, that little elephant preys on your mind, even if it's a cute elephant in your mind's eye. That elephant, polka dotted elephant, is still on your mind. You may not even realize it, but it's there. And I think it a great idea to say bye bye to the little elephant in the room. Even if it's a little elephant, it's still an elephant and it's still in the room, so to speak. So avoid ever getting into debt in the first place. Okay. Now, we talked about that, but now we have to talk about repayment. Not so easy. Repaying those debt payments on time. Repay them every single month on time. How can you do that? Well, create a spending plan, or more commonly referred to as a budget. Create a spending plan that shows when your payment dates come due. This is important because actually knowledge is power. Don't live your life with your head buried in the sand or, oh, I can't stand doing a budget. Oh, I don't like to write things down. Oh, okay. There are programs that avoid you from writing it down, so you type them up, but you need to know. We all need to know. We all need to know where our money is going. We also need to know when the specific bills come due. Be sure that your funds actually are available by tracking your cash and knowing where your money goes. And this again, I have to be repetitive here. This is really another case where money knowledge is what? Power. Knowledge is power. Next, you need to pay more than just the minimum payment. I could have taken an entire show on this one. I really could. Why is it so important to pay beyond just the minimum payment? Well, here's what happens. A lot of people think that when they make a minimum payment, that much of it goes to the principal of what you owe. Uh-uh. Not true at all. In fact, most of it goes to interest. So you're effectively just paying interest and buying time to stay in debt longer so that you could probably pay more interest and stay in debt longer. And I know that sounds weird, but that is effectively what is going on. So you need to pay more than just the minimum payment. Because if you think those minimum payments are making a dent into reducing the principal, that is simply false. That is so false. What is actually happening is that most of that payment is going towards the interest. This is financially draining people's wallets. And a good rule of thumb is to either pay it all off at once or at the very least double your minimum payment. Again, let's think about it. If you're constantly just trying to keep the banks happy by paying off the minimum, you could be doing that for years. That could be a really very difficult cycle to break. It just gets worse and worse as time goes by, I promise you. Those pair of roller skates that you desperately wanted, which was maybe originally at whatever price, 150, can end up costing you thousands if you're not careful. I really, really mean that. So think carefully before you make a purchase. All right, next, get familiar with two types of debt repayment styles. Now, some people get overwhelmed with certain styles, and some people they're okay with it. What do I mean by that? There's two methods. One is the avalanche method and the snowball method of repayment styles. I will include a video from the How Debbie Saves channel that will prove to be quite helpful. Just to briefly mention, Debbie from the How Debbie Saves channel, she was in $48,000 of debt. Very not fun place to be. It is just, but she is a success story, and I strongly suggest you head to her channel, period, to hear about her success story. I'm telling you. Now, to be clear, because sometimes I come across maybe not clear to some folks. I don't know how, because I do try to be clear in my messages. However, to be clear, I, Janet, am not anti-credit card. Nope, not at all. They are a short-term loan. They are a convenient vehicle for conveying cash from one place to another. People shop with it, and so on and so forth. If used properly, all good, no problem. So to be clear, and I reiterate, I am not anti-credit card. I am anti getting yourself into trouble with debt. Yeah. I am totally anti that. So do not misconstrue the two. Okay. I totally have zero problem, no problem at all whatsoever of the idea to properly use a credit card for what it actually is. And as I mentioned, it is a short-term loan. In fact, this loan, in my mind's eye, is so short-term that it needs to be paid in full every time you use your credit card. If you're going to use your credit card in April, be prepared when the bill comes. Let's say you used your card in the third week of April, and in the middle of May, you know it's coming due, the bill. It's going to be there, regular as rain. It's going to show up. You have to know. When do you have to know that you could pay that thing off in full? Not in May. You need to know that in April before you say okay to that charge. If you're unsure and saying, I really don't know if I can afford that in May, to me, that would be telling me, if really, first of all, like we always say, check if it is a want or a need, the thing you're contemplating purchasing, okay? If it is a want, totally nix it and just put it away, okay? Put it away. Sorry to burst the bubble, but I'm just trying to avoid you getting into credit card debt. But be prepared and be knowingly ready that you can pay it off. Like I said, this loan is so short term that it needs to be paid in full every month. And my basic rule of thumb is this, and I have lived with this rule of thumb for practically ever. If what I am thinking of purchasing, if what I am thinking of charging is more than I can afford to pay in full, I simply will do without it. It is just that simple. I personally don't want the stress of month in and month out, payments, interest. I don't want to throw my hard-earned money into the trash can. Why would anybody want to throw their hard-earned money into the garbage can? Think about that. That's why I always say I want to help folks keep their money. And I'm sure you want to keep more of yours. There you go. Well, thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate your time. Don't forget to come back in the future for some more savings tips and tricks. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Take good care now. Bye-bye.